like to call the September 2022 meeting of the SALS board to order. I heard a comparison recently and it inspired me to write the following. Water is often a symbol for life, and rivers are often used as a metaphor for life. Rivers flow, and they change as they do so. Some years the changes are hardly noticeable, but in others, the rivers and their surroundings dramatically are altered by storm, flood, or drought. In early 2020, few foresaw the full impact of change on our landscape, societal, organizational, and personal, that exists today, less than 2 years later. For many of us, a perfectly natural reaction to this is to want to go back to the way things were before. But the river continues to flow. And those who study groups, families, and individuals advise us not to get stuck in the past, but to analyze change and to primarily focus on challenges going forward. This is our first in-person SALS board meeting in 20 months. I suggest that the landscape has changed, as have we. Something to keep in mind as a board this coming year. Public comment? I don't see that there are any members of the public, so no
Excuse me,
public
Russ.
comment.
Pardon me, Russ. Should we review the agenda and maybe add that addition to the agenda?
Right, I understand. So the, in addition to your agenda, item A under new business, if you will add an item A1, we're going to discuss amending the policy for the split on construction grants, the percentages. And so member library state aid would now become A2. Are there any other additions or corrections to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, let's move ahead. Approval of the board meeting minutes from our last meeting, which was June 21st. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the
Made by
motion.
Lane. Seconded by Jordan. Okay, is there any discussion, any alterations, any changes? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? That would be anybody who was not at the June meeting. Okay, thank you. The minutes are approved. Our treasurer, Bob, could you give us your report and the monthly budget reports for the months over the summer?
Sure. Now we're going to be doing June, July, and August, so you'll have to bear with me for the real exciting part of the meeting. And on top of that, either floating around or in your packets were the warrants for all of the expenditures. Those are for you to look over and peruse. And if you have any questions between Colleen and myself, we'll try to answer them, right, Colleen? So first we'll do June. We ended May with $1,729,568 in the bank. And during the month of June, we received $171,344. All of it basically normal everyday things, with the exception of the county aid from Warren County came in the month of June, and that was $55,000. And our expenditures for the month of June were $239,726.34. So we started off July with $1,661,186.34. In the month of July, we had our regular ordinary things that came in, but also the month of July is typically when we get the state of New York, when they're doing things on time, send us the first payments of our various aid components. And we received our basic aid. This was 90% of our basic aid of $1,000,000 $9,356. Supplemental aid was $147,615. 90% of LLSA was $79,320. And let's see, I went down the line here. LSSA was 79,320. LLSA was 99,621. And we received Hamilton County aid of 11,500. So our total receipts for July were $1,414,216.81. And we had disbursements of $320,903. So we ended the month of July and started the month of August with $2,754,500.05. In the month of August, we continued to get some more of our aid. Some of it was aid that is to be paid out to other hurt people. Some of it we get to keep and spend for our internal programs. The coordinated outreach was $100,162. Institutional, which is basically county jails and state jails, $3,029. Central library aid, $180,787, and correctional facilities. This is the part that was the state of New York, $31,642. So we had total revenues receipts for the month of August of $455,281.73, and we spent $358,167.08. So we ended the month of August with $2,851,614.70. We probably should have motions on each of them separately.
Okay,
Any questions or comments?
all right, could I have a motion for the treasurer's report for June 2022? Moved by Margaret, is there a second? Seconded by Sue. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Could I have a motion for the month of July for the treasurer's report? Janet,
Don't forget.
who was it?
I think it was Jordan. Yeah.
Jordan, okay, Jordan, Janet, you want a second?
Sure.
Okay, very good. Any discussion on July? Just a comment that it's nice to see that state aid coming in on time this year. Okay, any other alterations, questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. And finally, treasurer's report for the month of August 2022. Could I have a motion? Yes, Carol? Laura, you're seconding, okay. And any discussion? Any questions? Okay, all in favor of the August treasurer's report? Okay, any negatives, any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you. Okay, anything else, or you already mentioned that the warrants are, yeah, okay, very good. All right, Sarah, director's report.
Hi, everyone. It is so good to see everyone, and we have some new people, even though you're not really new, but it's the first time you've seen us all. We have some new staff members. So I was wondering if we all could take a moment just to introduce and what county you're from. And do you want to start, Chris? You have to unmute, Chris. That's Chris.
He's trying.
Okay,
Okay, you're on.
I'm Chris Connell from Waterford Library, Saratoga County, SALS trustee.
Jordan,
Jordan Hornstein, Hamilton County.
Barbara,
I'm Barbara Taylor from Hamilton County, and I live in Long Lake.
Carol,
I'm Carol Kerr. I'm live in Argyle in Washington County. Laura Goodman, and I live in Greenwich Free Library, Washington County.
Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Jeffords, treasurer, sales treasurer, and I live in Greenwich. Also.
Margaret Shapiro, Warren County, representing Crandall Public Library.
Russ Wise, Saratoga County, and Clifton Park Half Moon Library.
I'm Elaine Cowan, Warrensburg Richards Library.
SALS staff member, finance and administration manager, and I've been here since December of last year.
And your name is?
Colleen Smith.
Yeah.
You're all tired of my emails by now.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Sue Beck, Warren County, live in Adirondack.
Janet Lindner, Saratoga Springs, Saratoga County, Saratoga Library.
And then we have some staff members. You met Colleen, Pamela,
I'm Pamela Del Signor, the System Services Support Assistant.
Michelle,
I'm Michelle Largito, the project manager for the Joint Automation System.
Erica,
I am Erica Freudenberger, Outreach Engagement and Marketing at the Southern Adirondack System.
thank you. Jill,
Hi, I'm Jill Ryder. I'm the Assistant Director and Collection Management Consultant at SALS.
we have a member library director, Crystal. Introduce yourself.
Sorry, in between meetings. My name is Crystal Jamara from the CVW Long Lake Public Library in Long Lake, New York. And I'm about nearly a year and a half in, and nice to see virtually all of you.
Jack, is there anybody else who?
Jack.
Oh, well, no, I'm gonna do Jack in a second. Is there anybody else watching virtually? Do you have any guests?
So there's 9.
I think that's everyone.
Okay,
That's everybody.
now Jack.
Good afternoon. I'm Jack Scott, the Technology and Youth Services Librarian at SALS.
And I'm Sarah Dallas. I'm the director of the Southern Adirondack Library System. So welcome, everybody. Yay, yay. I'd like to share what the SALS vision is. I think I'm going to start all of my director's reports from now on talking about our vision and our mission. And that's why we are all here representing all of the different groups. So the vision is the Southern Adirondack Library System works with its member libraries to provide exceptional services to support thriving, resilient communities in Hamilton, Saratoga, Warren, and Washington counties. And Bob shared that we have our money for the year, even though our year started in January and we got it in August. But that's the reason we're here, and that's where our budgeting needs to be aware of as we develop our budget and our goals and our objectives. And our mission is to provide leadership, effective and efficient services, continuing education and technology to support member library services to all of the residents in Hamilton, Saratoga, Warren, and Washington County. And we do not really work with the public directly, but we work with the member libraries to help them provide the best possible services. And what I've learned over my 19 years here is that all of our libraries do an extraordinary job providing services, regardless of where in the community or where in the counties they reside. So mighty Racket Lake with 113 chartered population, right there on a lake in Hamilton County. And then our largest library is the Crandall Public Library. And what is it, about 55,000 people, give or take, something like that. But anyway, regardless of the size of the library, regardless of the size of the budget, regardless of the number of staff people working in these libraries and volunteers, the trustees and the library staff are doing fantastic service to provide services to their communities. And I think one of the differences between the largest library and the smallest library is the number of people who are walking through the door each day. Through different things and programs that the SALS staff and the joint automation staff provide, we're pretty much equalizing the quality of service in all of the different libraries. And thank goodness for technology, because that really helps level the playing field as well. So I just wanted to share that as an overview of what we do and why we're doing what we do. I also want to take a moment to thank Pamela, Colleen, and Jack for helping us find our new rhythm to hold a face-to-face meeting. And I really want to thank Pamela for getting the board packets together at the very last moment. It was a surprise to her this morning. And with professionalism and grace, you have your packets in front of you. So I want to talk a little bit about the packets, because I never want to put poor Pamela through this morning ever again. So in order to help us prepare for our face-to-face meeting in October and to help save paper and toner, please let us know, that would be Pamela, if you're able to view the packet through your computer or tablet, because you can bring them here. And we don't need to make the copies for you because everything is available there. We don't have extra tablets in the building to make it available for people to view, but we'll talk about that. The second thing is, if you do print your packet at home or at your library, we can provide some printer paper to help defer the cost of the printing. I personally like to view everything in print so I can make scribbles on them and notes. So that's another option. And if that's what you want to do, we'll give you the paper and Pamela will record your preferences. And then if you don't want to do the other two options, we can print and put the packet in your folder. We just don't want redundancy. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Question, has anyone ever considered using board docs?
I don't like board docs.
Okay.
I have another one. At the Crandall Library, we're using Boardable, which is obviously an online thing where all of your documents are there for your perusal. And past documents are there from past meetings. You can have communication through Boardable with the board. And we started using that at Crandall not too long ago. We're just starting to come in in person. And I thought it was really an easy.
Does Crandall provide a tablet so that you can view it during the meeting?
No, we bring our own so far.
Okay, I'm not sure everyone has a tablet
Right.
or a computer that they can bring, but I think that's are you taking notes, Jack? I think this is a wonderful opportunity.
Sure.
All of our information is on our website. But I understand, I use board docs at the Albany Public Library meeting. And
It's just an example.
Right.
I don't think it's user friendly.
Okay.
But I don't think
Boardable,
anything
you
computer.
should look into Boardable, because I thought that was pretty user friendly, and I'm not that great with
Okay.
computers, but you know.
Again, if there's a better way to use technology and we could prevent poor Pamela from reliving
Nobody
this
wants
morning.
to make copies like that.
You know. So just let us know and we can supply and we will work forward and have a recommendation back maybe by the end of the year. Thank you very much to both of you for suggesting that. I want to welcome our newer trustees. Sue Beck, you're not new, but this is your first face-to-face.
I think there was one before, just before COVID. I'm pretty sure, unless it was a training, I'm not sure.
I vaguely remember you coming in.
I think I came for one, but it was not in this room,
Who can
it was in that
remember?
big room over there.
And I probably was out sick. Because I got very sick in December and was gone for a bit of time.
That's
so-
right, I think you were on the computer at that time.
And Laura, thank you so much for agreeing to run. Thank you and
Happy to
welcome. As I just said, this was my first face-to-face meeting since I became sick. I was in the emergency room on January 6th, and I missed all of the excitement. But of January 6th. But I really want to thank the extraordinary SALS and JA staff that kept the library, kept SALS running while I was ill. And then as I was getting better, helped me still, and they still do, and they're invaluable. For people who are newer to the board, I just wanted to explain a little bit about the SALS staffing. In this building, we have two staffs, if that makes sense. There's the SALS staff that their salaries are paid through the SALS budget. We also have the JA staff, the Joint Automation staff, and they're housed here in Saratoga. But they provide IT services to all of the public libraries in the Mohawk Valley Library System and the Southern Adirondack Library System. So that incredible team provides services to all of the libraries in Hamilton, Warren, Washington, and Saratoga counties, as well as Schenectady, Schoharie, Fulton, and Montgomery counties. So that's our big family, and we're together because we share the Polaris and computers and networks and all of that good stuff. And the JA salaries are paid through funds that are contributed by both Mohawk Valley and SALS, as well as contributions from all of the public libraries. Michelle, how many public libraries are there? I never know to count the Schenectady branches or not.
It's 58 sites. Schenectady has 9 branches and Malta has the 2, but it's I count them as sites because that's the sites that we support. So.
And the 2 systems.
And the 2 systems, yes. Yep.
So they're very busy, and you can see when I share my monthly report with you, everything that they're doing. And I keep it short, and I just really share what they're doing mostly for the SALS libraries. So that explains a little bit of the two staffs housed in this physical building. And of course, you all passed a hybrid telecommuting policy a couple of years ago. And that many of us work both in the building and remotely. And so far, it's been working very, very well. Again, I credit the incredible staffs and members of both to be cooperative and help, and it's just been wonderful. We've had some changes in staffing since we've last met. Cindy Mira and Sharon Shine, 2 very, very, very long time staffers. Not that they're old, but they had worked here a very long time. I think Cindy started working here when she was 18. Anyway, they retired. And then Diane Winter, who was phenomenal, left to take a job with more responsibility and more pay at a very prestigious college in our region. And then joining our staff are Colleen Smith, who was, let's talk about trial by fire. You were hired and then had an audit and an annual report and all sorts of things. And welcome and thank you for everything that you've been contributing, and this was her first budget. You're smiling.
I have
Yeah, there were times that I could tell from the emails and that she's going.
I've never been bored.
So welcome, Colleen and Pamela. Welcome, Pamela. And Pamela hit the ground running, and we so appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you for that. And then we hired a part-time staff person who is a cataloger, and her name is Johanna Hall, and she's working part-time with us. And then the JA staff had some hires and retiring. Jim Baker is now working in the JA, and longtime JA staff person Mary Hanley retired. So we're we were talking about rivers, Russ. So our staff is ebbing and flowing.
Right.
So very good. I talked a little bit about the JA to let you know that we're going to be talking about the JA budget. JA doesn't exist legally, but the boards of Mohawk Valley and SALS approved the JA budget and JA amendments because of the contributions and where they come from. The Mohawk Valley Library System approved the budget last week at their board meeting, and I hope that we approve ours today. And also, there are some budget amendments that I hope we approve today. And on today's agenda is a item to review the SALS budget, which is pretty important because it's pretty important. And I just want to share that Bob, Colleen, and we kind of guess at it because we don't know how much state funds we're going to be receiving until April. And we start in January. But it's been working for the almost 20 years I've been here. So it's not broken. Let's keep on going.
Well, and we had like much budgeting, we had the ability to make mid-year adjustments too.
Correct.
Often, personnel is a big factor, but often if a couple of people leave and you haven't hired somebody new, you sometimes have savings in personnel, that type of thing. Where you get more than you expected in outside income or not as much. And we can always check. You just try to make the best guess you can make.
Thank you. I promised Pamela that I'd say inside of each of your board packets for the people who are here, and we'll be mailing them to people who are attending virtually, the conflict of interest statement. So please give me your signed copies. And then when you get it in the mail, please send it in as well to Pamela. Thank you. The New York Library Association Annual Conference will be held in Saratoga Springs, November 2nd to 5th. And there is money budgeted. So if any of you wish to attend, please let me know, or let Pamela know, or Colleen know. Let somebody know as soon as possible so we can register you in the early bird. Any session that you attend goes towards continuing education hour. So programs about an hour long. So if you go to 5 programs, you have 5 continuing education. Beginning January 1st, 2023, all of you need to, it's mandated 2 hours of continuing education credits. And we'll have to report it on our annual report. As well as public library trustees. And I'm wondering if you're a trustee in a public library and a trustee here, I don't see why you can't double dip.
Of course.
But you didn't hear me say that.
Can I just add 2 quick things to that? Because as you know, I've been, even though it wasn't required, I've been sampling some of the, the continuing, we had the Mid-Hudson Library System offers for the whole Eastern, well, actually for all of New York State, offers continuing ed during the year too. And they've had some really great stuff, and it hasn't been required. But it's very easy to get the 2 hours. I've found that I've done more than that. I've done 4 or 5 of them each year. And then as Sarah pointed out, you'll also get credit for the anything continuing ed that you do at the conference as well. Be sure, just as you do for some other things, there is a way to keep a record of what you've done so that you have a record that meets both your libraries and the SALS requirements for the thing. So, you know, I've forgotten what it is, but Jack could probably tell me, but there's something where you can keep it. Maybe it's through the Mid-Hudson possibly, but where New York State, you can keep a record of what you've done.
I think it's self-reporting, Russ.
Yes, yeah.
And I have some sample forms. It's a simple spreadsheet. It can be on a yellow pad, a white pad, or your computer, the date, the program, and how many contact hours.
Right.
I believe everyone here are trustees, and they'll be honest in reporting. But the state isn't keeping track.
So you're the one that's doing it.
No, you are. And then letting us know
Yeah,
at
but
the
I
end of
mean,
the year.
right, for letting you know.
So is SALS going to offer any webinars or anything like that, which would be interesting?
Yes, I thought so. Okay, good. If you look at the SALS website, everything is there, all of the opportunities. And as you know, I'm not shy about sending CE opportunities through your email. So please do it. And if you register and you can't attend because life happens, if you watch it virtually, that also counts. So there's plenty of opportunity, and I agree with Russ. Mid-Hudson does a fabulous job. And if you look at the green, Sue has the green book in front of her.
Yeah.
Rebecca and Jerry are running these. So the people who wrote the book are presenting. So if any question you ever wanted,
They know.
you have the opportunity to ask them directly.
And there.
Sarah, I think Chris had a comment or question.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, in terms of requirements for directors to have continuing education, is that a statewide system or individual library policy?
Well, there is a minimum standard that says that library staff need to take technology in order to, I forget the exact wording, and I could see Erica is looking it up now. It's a minimum standard, but there's a requirement to be up to date on technology. But continuing education, I think, is paramount in order to keep a vibrant library. And I hope that individual libraries budget money for continuing education for not only the director, Chris, but the staff as well. That answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. There are some other opportunities for continuing education. There is an organization called United for Libraries. It's an American Library Association division. And if you'd like to join and become a member of United for Libraries, it's a fabulous organization. And I went to their virtual conference and I learned so much. So it's peers and colleagues talking to each other, which has another level of growth. So it's United for Libraries, the American Library Association. And they have fabulous CE as well as toolkits and documents. Highly recommended. Coming up in October 27th, the ALA parliamentarian Adrian Stratton will be doing a webinar on Robert's Rules of Order.
So helpful.
He really is doing a great job. It's going to be through the Mid-Hudson platform. I'm working with a number of library directors to make it happen. And Colleen has gone ahead and ordered the brief Robert's Rules of Order, and they promise you on the cover, you can read it in 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 90 minutes, but it's also a handy dandy guide that I highly recommend.
And they're back ordered, so.
Really revised.
Supply
They
chain.
have
There it
been
is.
ordered, but yeah, supply chain issues, so.
I like the
Brief.
In brief,
Right.
in brief. And Adrian is going to be using that as the document, so that's pretty special. Erica, are you ready to talk about oats?
Sure. So Jack, Scott, and I met with Senior Planet, which is an well, I guess it's an arm of the AARP for an initiative they have that's called Older Adults Technology Services. And what they do is they work with, well, they've been working with some public libraries up in the North Country, so up around Plattsburgh and all that, to help older adults get comfortable with technology. And we have an opportunity, they just received a round of grant funding through Schmidt Futures, and they are looking to expand the program. And so we're hoping to be able to bring that to our member libraries. Jack and I are still in kind of the discussion phase and discovery phase with them to try and get a solid understanding of what this looks like and what the commitment's going to be like for any member libraries who want to participate. But essentially, there's kind of two prongs to it. The first prong is that if member libraries are interested, somebody from their staff or team has to participate in a train the trainer series of workshops, which are, we estimate, about 5 hours a week for 5 weeks. And then once they complete that course, they have to host at least 15 training sessions for seniors in a designated 18-month period that coincides with this grant funding. So we're hoping to be able to do that. There is a pot of money, there's $100,000 that is going to be split between our system, the Clinton Essex Franklin Library system, and the North Country Library system. And that money is to cover the costs associated with this program. We don't yet know what those costs will be. We have to submit a budget by the first week in October. And just to give you context, Jack and I had our first meeting with them last Thursday. So this is moving super quickly. So we're trying to still figure out exactly what this is and what this looks like, because we don't want to burden our libraries and we want to make sure we've got a good support in place for them. So what we're thinking about asking for funding is money for technology, because you have to have very specific technology. They train using, and Jack, jump in or correct me if I'm not right, which is an excellent chance. Like Google Chromebooks and iPads are the things that they're providing training on. So we would be purchasing a number of those, including like totes and stuff to transport them safely so that they're not going to get jostled in the delivery. In addition, ideally, we will be able to get money to support our libraries so that we could provide some sort of stipend for the people who are going through the training in addition to their work, because we know it's been a rough couple of years. All of our staffs are stretched really thin, and a lot of our staff even our directors are part-time, and we want to make sure that as many people as possible can participate. So we're waiting to hear if we can use, if we can build that stipend into our budgets or if that has to be separate. So we're still in the discovery phase. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of information and I don't know how many questions I can answer about this because I've told you pretty much everything we know. But Jack, what did I forget? It will cover all 4 of our counties. We know that.
We're going to hopefully have an informational meeting for our libraries and anyone else who would like to attend on September 29th at 10 a.m. But we're going to schedule that. And we're going to have hopefully someone from Oats and someone from the Moores Library in the North Country Library System. They did this program last year and they were very successful with it. And so they're gonna come and, someone from there is gonna come and let us know a bit more, in a bit more detail, what is included in this training and what's expected.
And also they'll be able to answer questions about implementation, like what it looks like, what it took for them to put it together. I'm sorry, Barbara, I cut you off.
No, I'm sorry, I interrupted. I'm just curious, with some of the very small libraries like Racket Lake or Long Lake, doing 15 sessions would be a little bit of a stretch. I mean, getting 15 people would be about a great outcome.
Oh, so actually, I'm
are
glad
they
you brought
looking at
that up.
this-
Yeah.
Are they looking more as sort of like a county-wide implementation or site specific?
This is site specific. The other, what do you call it? Like, I guess, not qualification, I'm blanking on the word, but that, the other requirement would be that each session have 5 to 8 people, a minimum of 5 to 8 people attending, right? So this is not an insignificant lift, and we recognize that.
Yeah.
I will say this is something that they know who they're working with. Like I said, North Country and Clinton Essex have gone through this with them once before. This is the requirements that they've put into place. It's not anything that we've set. I wouldn't choose to set those kind of requirements.
Right.
For all the reasons that you mentioned. We're still thinking this through and what this can look like. And as soon as we have more information, we'll be sharing it. But just wanted to give you a heads up that this is on our radar and is something we're trying to learn more about. And hopefully be able to bring to our system.
Thank you.
One of the exciting pieces about this process is that we would get to keep the technology after the 18 months. So if we purchase like 30 Chromebooks, 20 iPads, projectors, portable screens, cases to transport them through delivery service, we would keep that and our member libraries would be able to use that in any capacity they would need.
Yeah, beyond the 18-month period of the training.
Thank you, Erica.
Just so we don't have more information for you. That's everything we know. So.
And as we get it, we'll send it, you know that we'll send it to you by the next meeting or by email. Jack, do you want to read what the chat comment is? Please. You asked about library staff, and I couldn't remember off the top of my head the minimum standard.
Minimum standard number 13 provides library staff with annual technology training appropriate to their position to address community needs as outlined in the library's long-range plan of service. Thank you, Eric.
So this grant would answer or would address that minimum standard. So I love it when things dovetail. I like it better when it works, but I love when it dovetails. To get the last 10% of our state aid, some libraries will need to submit waivers explaining why they're not in compliance with minimum standards. Usually we have it by this meeting. We haven't gotten it yet, but I'm expecting it in the next few weeks. And just to let you know, that will be part of next month's agenda. Some reasons are that they don't maintain. In the past, we've given waivers to the Stillwater Library because they don't have sufficient seating and space, but they're in the process of building a new building. So it has different, but we'll see, we'll find out very soon which libraries haven't met minimum standards. And then this board would have to approve their plan to meet it or why they should get an excuse or why they can't meet it. Today, it's a long agenda and I apologize, but we haven't seen each other physically or virtually since June. in your packet, there is a 2575, well, no, it's not called that. In your packet is a document that was discussed during the building committee that was held just before. It looks like this. And we're going to ask you to amend it from the 2021 document so that we can use this to approve the construction grants. And if you have any questions, I covered a lot. Please feel free to ask me. Or if you think of a question, send it to me and I'll answer it and share the answer with all of the trustees.
I have a quick question. Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, with the, oh goodness, the form that's going to be mailed to us, I had it in my head and now I can't think of the name of it.
Conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest. Can we sign, scan it and send it back in an email? Would that be all right?
Yes. To me. I would do that.
Go ahead. I don't know if they heard that. Say it again, Tony.
Yes, you can scan them and email them to me. I keep them, so whoever you send it to, it'll all get to me, but email is fantastic if you can do a PDF to me.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Sarah? Sarah, do we have a JA report this month?
Oh, it was part of the written,
Okay,
and that you'll be working later to approve the JA budget
Right.
and budget amendments.
right. I just wondered if there's anything else. Okay.
There wasn't a meeting because we didn't have a quorum.
Right, right. This was a tough summer this summer. Okay, moving along then, let's go to committee reports. Janet, audit and finance.
So we met in August, and actually audit and finance based its recommendations to you. The personnel committee recommendations that met just before audit and finance. So can I do those two together?
Yes, you can. You happen to be chair of both this year. I don't know why you
know how
volunteered
that
for.
happened.
Yeah.
Because the board president represents Saratoga County.
Right.
So
So I
everyone
got stuck on everything else. All right, anyway, personnel met and we made a couple of recommendations. One was on benefits. And the recommendation is that, and jump right in, Colleen, anytime, that our current plan, we would save $900 of our budget if we switched to Nikon FSA and dropped WageWorks, which we've had some issues with for the regular health benefit. In addition to that, there's also considerations for vision and dental. So looking at the different vision plans, the Nikon vision plan was more expensive, and we recommended that we keep the Davis vision plan that's currently being used. And as far as dental went, there'll be no change. We recommended no change because there are only 2 employees who take advantage of our offer of a dental plan through Aflac. And it's complicated to go into this other dental plan. I think you had to have a minimum of 50% of your staff had to have the dental plan, and that was unlikely to happen. So the recommendation from the personnel committee to the audit and finance committee is that we change to the Nikon FSA, keep Davis vision, and keep everything else the way it is. The second thing we considered were salaries. Last year, we gave a 3% increase to staff. And since then, we all know there's been much higher cost of living due to inflation. And so we discussed all the pros and cons of giving a bigger increase this year. And since we'd be saving $900 with the benefits and another $2,000 with other insurance savings that's in our budget, really, and we have a lot of reserve funds, which we need to spend down. So our committee wants to recommend a 5% raise for staff. And then there were changes also to the budget, and I think we discussed the budget later, right? You wanted on.
Right.
But the other thing that needed to be discussed was the county aid situation where we did not receive what we had expected. But the JA fees were lowered, so, and some things were combined. So all in all, audit and finance with these changes did recommend that we approve the budget, and we can go into later the assumptions and explanations. So do we vote on it later though?
Later, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, later.
Anything else, Colleen?
Well, we don't vote on the 2023 budget.
That's right, we
just-
recommendation.
Right, and then it goes to the library members to consider for feedback, and then we vote in October.
October, right.
Right.
October.
We had the amendments for 20.
Right, and we're doing 2022 budget amendments also will be under new business, which we'll talk about.
Right.
And I just want to say also that, thank you, Colleen, and I think she's done a stupendous job. Considering that she came in cold and she's been really good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Any questions for Janet at this point? A couple of these will come back up again under new business, but. All right, next is building committee, Chris.
She's muted.
Yeah, okay. So the building committee met just prior to this meeting. We have 7 requests for funding, but we're going, because 2 of the libraries have attached presidents on the committee, we're going to have to vote on them individually. So the total amount requested was $839,000 of funds available, $962,584. So there's still $123,000. So we can cover everybody. So first request was for SALS to improve the broadband access for member libraries, and that request is a 50% match. Could I have a motion to?
We can do this under new business. You're just explaining it right
Oh,
now.
well, I've already explained my cognitive problems today, so I thought that this was when we did this. So I guess then my report is simply that we'll get to this later.
Right.
Okay, done. We'll get to this
Now,
later.
what were the other two? What were the other 2 things that we talked about?
Beats me.
Well, no, SALS, the member libraries, and also what Sarah mentioned about the language for the split on the construction grants. These are all coming up under new business.
Thank you.
Okay.
COVID is hard, Chris. Too many of us have been there.
Yes,
So we have total empathy.
yes.
You're awesome. It's all good.
Okay, any questions for Chris at this point? All right, thank you, Chris. Jordan, anything from the bylaws committee?
Not at this time.
Okay. Margaret, anything from Central Library?
No report.
Okay. Anything from any of our county aid coordinators?
You might want to report just in a little more detail that our $35,000 was in the budget, was in the Saratoga County
Sarah,
budget.
yeah.
And then after their meeting, it was cut. And I'd like to acknowledge Michelle Dool from the Mechanicville Public Library and the other Saratoga County trustees and directors and staff We've able to recoup $15,000 of the 35,000. We were told to apply for what we didn't get this year for next year. And we are trying to see if there's any ARPA money to make up for the deficit. It's been an interesting experience, and lesson learned was that we can't be quiet and assume anything. We have to be loud. There's new staff in the Saratoga County Legislature, and they didn't understand, and they were apologetic, and lesson learned. So I
Also,
suggest other county coordinators
Yeah,
reach out to their county as well.
yeah, and it was a good wake-up call for at the library level for the Saratoga County too, because the response we got, we ended up not having to hold a meeting, but we asked if anybody would be interested in talking about strategy, and most people responded very positively for that. So it's something that we may do in the future as this moves along with Saratoga, but something you guys could think about too for each of your counties. Talking to people at your libraries and making them at least aware of the process in your county, and that you might be reaching out to them if a problem arises, or if you need to request more than what you received.
Carol, you had talked about trying to revive it in Washington County.
Yeah.
Bob, do you feel comfortable explaining they changed the law?
Yeah, years ago this happened, but Washington County basically did away with supporting all not-for-profits except for cooperative extension. And at that point in time, all the library funding went from Washington County, along with lots of other.
So we would have to get that law
not-for-profits.
changed.
Yes. Well, it wasn't really a law, it was a
Policy.
budget policy. But I'm sure that I can't say that I'm sure that they would reinstate it, but I'm sure that we could arrange meetings with the people that we need to meet with in order to at least get the conversation going.
So Jim Nolan is now on the Board of Supervisors.
Yes,
and
from the town of
he
Greenwich, and
was
he's
on-
certainly a pro-library person. And
I know him, so maybe we
Maybe
can
we
use
should
that
start,
wedge.
maybe we should start by meeting with him and see what he recommends
Right.
and moving forward.
Brian Campbell is the budget officer.
Who I used to teach with his wife.
For
so,
Washington
you know.
County, and
Oh, good.
Brian's a very open and
Yeah.
easy person to talk with. So.
Okay, let's arrange a meeting.
So I have a question related to the whole overdrive thing, which is, can we not start investigating partnership with other systems, as Upper Hudson has done with Mid Hudson? Or, we don't even, do we share overdrive with Mohawk Valley or not?
And those discussions are happening, Chris.
Great.
But even though this is being taped, I'm embarrassed to admit our system puts in less money than the other systems, less than Upper Hudson and less than Mid Hudson.
Well, perhaps the funding for this shouldn't just be from the counties as it's been, but a budget item that SALS makes.
We could talk about that. Jill, Jack, do you want to explain? Do you feel comfortable jumping in and explaining what's happening now?
We have a task force on that's looking at making our overdrive spending sustainable. Right now, as we found out, once we didn't get that Saratoga County grant, that our overdrive spending is not sustainable. So we're actually meeting is it next Thursday, Jill?
Yeah, it is.
Next Thursday. So we've collected a lot of data and we're meeting with multiple directors, and then we're going to look through the data, and we have some examples of how other systems fund their overdrive platform sustainably, and we're going to look into making our overdrive spending more sustainable.
Thanks, Jack. That was great. Great explanation.
And
Okay,
Chris, also, that
but is
sort of-
partnership also on the table?
Yes, that is, so we had been discussing the partnership options earlier, And there are some systems that that have invited us to join them. But the way that and help me out here, Jill, is the way that our Polaris system works, we are, quote, integrated with Overdrive. And so there is some technical issues with us because of integration joining with these other systems and items being shown checked out or not checked out when they are checked out. So we're in contact with our Overdrive reps about if there's a solution to that issue.
Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
So let me just repeat to make sure I'm clear. There's technical issues with Overdrive and Polaris.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Thank
that also is a problem for MVLS because they also use Polaris and Overdrive. So there's multiple people in conversation about ways to find solutions.
Thank you for asking that question, Chris.
Thank you for the answers. Well, some answers.
It's a work in progress.
Okay, Carol, library services, any reports?
Nothing to report now.
Okay. Janet already did personnel. And anything with trustee nominations, Jordan?
No, other than I am actively seeking a potential replacement for Hamilton County.
Okay, thank you. All right, unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to new business. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this amended policy. You should have a copy of that now.
Got yellow highlight.
Yellow highlighted, the construction match is what it says. Sarah, you want to jump in and explain what were just the changes?
Some of the changes are the allocation. 2021 was about $1,000 more than this year. And the chart is a little different. We're trying to, we had this conversation, and if I'm being redundant, tell me I'm being redundant to the people who weren't in the meeting before. The state kind of defines how you can allocate a 75-25% match and a 90-10% match. And a while back, the SALS board decided if we have the funds available, we're going to try to do the 75-25% match for all libraries. So this document is a justification that we're going to try to we're recommending a 75-25% match. The state is looking at it with economic disadvantage points. So I pulled together a chart that shows the poverty in each of the counties, the unemployment in each of the counties, the free lunch, reduced lunch in each of the counties, and the per capita support for libraries in each of the counties, and English language learners for each of the counties. So I'm hoping this is broad enough that regardless of where the library is located, we hit one of the justifications. And in order to submit the applications at 75-25, we need to show that we have a document that justifies that ask. Anything you want to add, Chris? Poor Chris, she's on the.
Yeah.
She's right there. So does that make sense?
I think so. Just for my challenge brain, poverty, unemployment, free lunch, per capita support. There was one other item.
English language.
Okay, thank you.
And the back of the document are some of the sites that we pulled the documents, the numbers from, the data from. And if
So,
we have,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
do I have a motion to accept this amended policy?
Actually, you're presenting it from the committee as a committee recommendation.
Oh, okay.
Does not require a second.
All right then.
Okay,
All in
is there any
favor?
discussion or further questions about the amended document? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the amended document signify the usual way. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Okay, A2, which is the member libraries, state aid for library construction applications. I believe there's what, 6 of them?
And they're all on this
All on the
document,
sheet,
so we don't have to ask Chris to repeat them.
right? As
But
Chris mentioned-
but- But,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
but,
You'd like to do it individually.
well, don't we have to do it individually because you and
Sure.
I need to
I
recuse? one of our
think
members?
that would be more precise, yes, each one. So
Okay.
let me have a, wait a minute, I need my list, hang on. Do I have a motion for, Bolton Free Library, for in the amount of 26,513?
I'll make the motion.
I said that last year. I think, Russ, it's, they're requesting 8,324.
8324, sorry, 8324.
I'll still make the
Okay.
motion.
Jordan makes the motion, is there a second?
I can second.
Seconded by Carol. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, the next motion is Clifton Park Half Moon, requesting 300,851. Will somebody make the motion for that? Janet, and seconded by Margaret. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, all those, this, by the way, has to do with a complete front entry replacement for energy efficiency and also accessibility. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I will abstain. Okay, thank you. Third one is Greenwich. Asking for 171,971. Is there a motion for this one?
Excuse me, it's 128,970.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong list. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. 128. 128,978. Okay, all right. Is there a motion for this? Okay, moved by Elaine. Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Sue. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, Laura abstains. Thank you, that passes. The next one is Orangeburg. Asking for 16,601, actually, to be precise. Is there a motion to that effect? Okay, Carol, is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Jordan, okay. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And are there any abstentions? One from Carol, or from Elaine, excuse me. All right, thank you. All right, and then Stillwater. One requested 111,660. And is there, for Elaine, is there a second? Seconded by Janet. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion carries. And the last of the library ones is Waterford, requesting 234,875. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Wait a minute.
You need
Oh,
to
is
make
there-
the,
I'm sorry, is there a motion?
Yeah.
Moved by Laura, is there a second? Seconded by
second.
Elaine. Okay. All those in favor?
aye,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. that motion-
I'm abstaining. Chris,
Oh, Chris, yes. Chris is abstaining. Thank you, Christine. All right, and you want to introduce the last one, Chris? The SALS grant?
yeah, so, the SALS request is for 50% of the cost of, improved access to broadband, new routers. And the amount requested is $38,133. Can I have a motion for that?
I'll make,
This one, I believe, hang on, this one comes from the committee, so it does not require a second.
Can I? We're changing the rules on you, Christine. No. I just want to say that there is a slight issue. I would like the motion to say up to 38,133. If the Malta branch needs to pull out because they can't get a 10-year 10-year license, that they could stay in the community center, we would have to reduce it. So rather than come back to you saying we can't get it, can we say up to 38,133?
Is there any objection to that amendment to the motion? Okay, seeing none, let's move ahead. Is there any discussion on the motion as amended? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
aye,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. I think that takes care of.
Does anybody need to stretch? This is our longest meeting.
All right. All right, then we have a request for Erica to attend the PLA meeting. Can I have a motion to that effect? So moved by Margaret. Is there a second? Seconded by Janet. Any discussion? All those in favor?
and aye,
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we have a motion to, or a recommendation to approve Sarah, Jill, Erica, Jack, and Pamela to attend the NILA annual conference. It's moved by Elaine. Is there a second? Seconded by Sue. Any discussion? All those in favor?
aye,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, and we also have, as if she needed one more thing to do. Oh, this might be good, though, you're getting away from Colleen Smith to attend the camp finance in New Paltz. Is there a motion?
aye,
Moved by Sue, seconded by,
Don't forget Jordan.
there.
seconded by Jordan. Okay, very good. Thank you, Jordan.
sure,
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
aye,
Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries as well. Okay, now, we have a, perhaps, you mentioned this briefly, Sarah, to approve the change of the administration from Health Equity Wage Works to Nikon. Do you want to just briefly?
Janet.
Talked about it.
Oh, Janet, yes. Oh, that was a committee recommendation.
But there wasn't a quorum at the committee.
Oh, okay, so let's, all right, so you're gonna propose it, though. Is there a second for this then?
Yeah.
All right, Elaine seconds it. Okay, quickly, Janet, explain what this is about again.
Okay. So there'll be a $900 savings because there's no administrative fees with the Nikon. There have been problems dealing with WageWorks in terms of communication and so on. I guess it's just a better plan. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, we're Nikon members, SALS is a Nikon member, and it's administered by Nikon. So, the fee for each employee who chooses to join the FSA is a tiny bit different. The biggest savings is no monthly administrative fees, so there'll be about $945 savings, and looks to be more streamlined for our administration and our employees.
Okay,
Okay, so I make the motion that
You-
we approve it.
yes, you can. And this one, did we have a quorum for that meeting?
No, it's
Okay,
Elaine
so-
seconded.
Who seconded?
Elaine.
Elaine second. Okay, very, any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. All right, now let's go on to, go back to you, Janet, the budget amendments for the current year budget, 2022.
And you have it in your packet.
Yeah.
So, not to just read it to you, but, so these are the changes in the 2022 budget that we need to consider. The income items are the state aid adjustment to reflect the actual 2022 appropriations, which is a 6.46% increase over the budgeted amount. So, increase undesignated by 87,883 and increase designated by $13,804. And then there's the county aid to member libraries adjustment, which we mentioned before. With Saratoga, there was a decrease in the county aid. Then county youth, there was an adjustment. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, we haven't budgeted that line, but we have received our funding of 1,159. So it's just a change to reflect what we actually received this fiscal year.
Automation fees adjustment to reflect an 8% cut in 2022 JA fees to member libraries. So that's a decrease of $38,698. And then from general reserves, an adjustment to reflect increased income decreased by $102,847. And then the budget expense items to be adjusted, again, the county aid and the automation fees. Want to say anything else about those?
But just simply that the change in the automation fees was to reflect the problems with the pandemic. It was a temporary thing.
And all of these basically are just adjusting to reality as we come through the year as to, 10 months prior, trying to guess at what the numbers are going to be.
Right.
And when you're looking at the 2023 budget, it helps now to have your 2022 be your actual, so you can really see what the 2023 proposal was.
Exactly. All right, any questions or any comments about the proposed 2022 budget revisions? Okay, again, there wasn't a quorum, but you offered as a motion.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Sue. All right, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that passes. Now we'll move along to the
more complicated 2023 budget.
2023, and again, we are just reviewing it today. It has to go out to the libraries, and you'll be asked in October to actually approve next year's budget.
So again, there's the two categories, income and expenses. Under income, coordinated outreach. That's just being defined differently than it used to be in the budget. It used to be different items broken down, and now it's all combined. And central library services, they kind of did the same thing, right? They combined different parts, so that changes the amounts. County aid assumes funding. As we said, it assumed $35,000 again for Saratoga. Hopefully we'll get it in 2023. Automation fees. The 2023 rates approved by JA in January 2022, 3% increase. Bank interest was budgeted the same, but may increase if CDs are purchased. And a draw from the general reserve of $235,195 is projected, and as we said, the general reserve is large and we needed to draw it down anyway.
Right.
Under expenses, the personnel expense of the estimated 5% salary increase, the benefits, which will be based on the salary increase. And Colleen budgeted an estimated 18% increase in healthcare costs, which may be high, we hope. We hope. That's conservative, we hope. And use the same retirement cost percentage as 2022. Telephone charge, we do expect an increase due to the upgrade. Delivery, we already took that into account, that fees will increase, estimated 9% for biweekly payments. Equipment maintenance and repair, postage meter lease. So that's, is that a known amount?
No, it's just something to keep in mind. We will need a new meter next year.
Utilities, that's always hard to guess, but the increase is based on 2021 costs and year-to-date 2022. Insurance, cyber liability insurance policy, we're looking into. We don't know the answer to that yet. County aid to member libraries, that's the pass-through libraries of funding received. I'm not sure what Mark records.
There's a bibliographic records that represent items we own, and we have been purchasing less of them over the past few years, so we reduce that expenditure accordingly.
That's what makes you be able to see what books, what materials are in each library. It's called marked records.
Okay, technology grant, which we talked a little bit about before, whether SALS contribution, what SALS contribution is, and also the JA has not approved the 2023 contribution fees. Very helpful. I did say that above, right?
When we did the budget, we did not the member rates that the libraries pay, what our contribution is. We didn't know that.
Okay, not approved SALS. Okay. Right. Sorry, and then shortfall of $235,195 is projected. The actual expenses are generally less than projected, so this will likely decrease. Any questions or anything that I probably can't answer, and I'll turn over to Colleen.
Well, for a couple of the newer members, just the process with the JAs, generally we have a meeting which is open to anyone who's interested, either from the SALS board or from the libraries or whatever, in December. It sets the rates, but it's always a year and a half ahead. So we've already set what we're talking about is the rate was already negotiated at 3% for 2023. So we're going to be talking about a year and a half ahead in December. Then it goes to the SALS and the MBLS boards. And that's what determines what SALS is, but like the county aid, that's basically a pass through. And it's collected from the member library, SALS a portion that it pays. And it gets passed through and pays the expenses of the JA program, which then, is housed here, but it's basically a separate budget. So that's what that is all about. It's just that we have to look ahead in terms of, so not only SALS and MBLS knows what it's going to be, but so that the member libraries know what their rate is going to be when they do their budgets for the coming year. So it's always at least a half a year ahead.
Year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half, yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Janet. You're welcome.
Yeah,
Stellar.
okay, no vote is needed here. As I said, we'll be looking at this in October.
And I'm suggesting that perhaps Michelle leads the review and approval of the JA budget amendments and the budget.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, Michelle, you good with that?
Yes, that's fine. The first thing is the amendments to the 2022 budget, which I think that everybody had a copy of. It was an increase for supplies and software maintenance, and taking that money out of equipment. And then there was also, we were coming up short in the telephone, which the telephone one is mostly because we were not able to get all of the member library internet connections transferred as quickly as we had hoped into the library's billing. And utilities, of course, went up, and we're taking those funds also from salaries. Does anyone have any questions for me on any of those, or?
Okay, again, as we did with the SALS budget, it's trying to get closer to the actuals for the year. Okay, could I have a motion to approve the budget amendments for JA for 2022?
I'll make the motion.
Jordan, and seconded by Margaret. Any further discussion or any questions from Michelle? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. All right, Michelle, how about the 2023 budget?
There's the actual budget, and then there's sort of an explanation sheet. I can just sort of go through the highlights if you want. The fee income shows the 3% increase, as we mentioned earlier in the fees from the member libraries. From the expense side, we have the salaries, which includes the 5% increase. It also includes a 6th staff person, but only for a partial year, because we have not hired yet. And if, just as some people sometimes ask why it went down, we had some adjustments last year, so we don't have to do those adjustments this year. The equipment is mainly purchasing a new server and some staff devices. Telecommunications, of course, goes down because of the changes we made in our policy last year. The majority of the software, the Polaris hosted, Syndetic, Sky River, those are all based on a contract that we did with Polaris for a 4-year contract. So it's a 2.5% increase for this year. And then professional fees, we added some funding for fishing training, and also for possibly getting to some SharePoint consulting that we've been talking about doing.
Okay, any questions for Michelle about the proposed 2023 JA draft budget? It's interesting, as proposed, it's actually lower than the approved 2022, but somewhere between that and the actual 2021. Yeah. So it's a more realistic budget, it looks like. Any questions? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the draft, the proposed 2023 JA budget? Okay, Carol, is there a second? Seconded by Jordan. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Is there a director's council report?
I don't believe there's any report.
Okay. Any further announcements or comments? Okay, our next meeting is on the 18th. Here at 1 p.m. And it's so nice to see all of you. Chris, we hope you're feeling better. We can see you in person. You're finally testing negative on a regular basis. Jordan, good to see you, and thanks to everyone today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. See you soon.
You can stay as long as you want.
Yeah, yeah, this is
Boring.
this is the longest one for a while.
You want to add the first two pages?